Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are packing our bags and heading across the Atlantic. We're going to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to set the ground rules right away. Drop the stereotypes. We are not doing a 20-minute segment on why hamburgers are big or Hollywood movies are loud.
And thank goodness we are not touching politics.
Not at all. I think everyone's relieved to hear that.
It's a massive relief. We're actually going to look at something that affects travelers and expats way more than politics usually does. We're digging into social psychology.
Specifically, the invisible scripts that make American behavior just so confusing to the rest of the world.
It really is. I mean, it's a huge point of friction.
It is.
Yep.
I have a friend who moved to L.A. from Berlin, and he called me after 2 weeks in a total panic. He said, everyone here act like they want to marry me, but nobody actually wants to have coffee.
That is the classic dilemma. It's the central tension we found in, all the research for this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming from almost anywhere else, especially Northern Europe, Russia, Asian Americans present this maddening duality.
On the one hand, they are the friendliest people on the planet.
The friendliest. The smiling at strangers, the barista asking about your weekend.
The huge, hi, how are you? From someone you've literally never seen before.
Exactly. But then you hit the wall. You experience what so many foreigners call the fakeness.
Right.
You think you've made a real friend because of that warm welcome, but when you try to deepen that connection...
They ghost you, or they're just so busy it feels like a bait and switch. Why did you act like my best friend if you didn't actually care?
Precisely. And that is our mission today. We are going to decode this behavior, and we're going to use a very specific framework from cross-cultural psychology. It's not just Americans are nice or Americans are fake. It's a structural difference.
And this is where we get to the fruit. I honestly thought this was a joke when I first saw the notes, but this is real academic theory.
It is very real. It's the peach versus coconut theory, popularized by Franz Tropinars, and it draws on earlier work by Kurt Lewin, who is, a real pioneer in social psychology.
So they used fruit to map out how different cultures handle privacy and friendship.
That's the one.
Okay, so let's build the American. According to the theory, the American is a peach.
A peach. Now, just, visualize a peach for a second. What's the first thing you notice when you pick one up?
It's soft. It's got that fuzz. You can squeeze it a little bit. It gives.
That soft exterior is the perfect metaphor for American public life. In a peach culture, the public layer of your personality is soft, it's porous, it's inviting.
This is why they smile at strangers, why they start conversations in elevators. The barrier to entry is almost zero.
Right. Which, as you can imagine, is terrifying for some people.
Oh, absolutely. If you're from a culture where polite silence is the norm, having a stranger ask, so how's your Tuesday shaping up, feels like an interrogation.
It feels incredibly intrusive. But for the peach, that softness is a social tool. It's about minimizing friction. You smile, you chat, you share a tiny bit of info. Oh, I love your shoes, or man, this weather is crazy, and you've made a quick, easy connection.
You're biting into the peach.
You're biting into the social interaction. And it's sweet, it's easy. But this is where the disconnect happens. Why do they do this? Are they just desperate for friends?
I'm guessing not. It's just habit.
It's actually historical. The U.S. is a nation of immigrants, of pioneers. It's a super mobile society. People move for jobs constantly.
Oh.
In that kind of environment, you can't afford to wait 5 years to build a connection. You need a quick connection protocol. You need to establish trust rapidly with a stranger so you can do business or, build a community.
That makes so much sense. If I'm moving to Chicago for a job, I need that soft shell to network. I need to be accessible.
It's an efficiency algorithm.
Yeah.
But here's the trap. The learner, your friend from Berlin, bites into the peach. He gets the warmth, the smile. He thinks, wow, I'm in. This person loves me.
He thinks the whole fruit is soft.
But a peach isn't soft all the way through, is it? What's in the middle?
The pit. The hard, jagged stuff.
That is the American private self. And that pit is harder than diamond. Just because an American was friendly to you in the lobby, a soft skin, that does not mean they're inviting you into their home or their deep personal struggles. That's the pit.
So the fake accusation comes from mistaking the skin for the pit.
Yes. The American separates friendliness from friendship. Friendliness is a public duty. It's just good manners. Friendship, real pit-level friendship, is rare, takes a long time to earn, and is guarded fiercely.
So when an American says, we should totally do lunch sometime, They are not actually making a plan.
Oh, absolutely not. That is not a calendar invite. That is a polite way of saying, I enjoyed this interaction and I wish you no harm. It's part of the soft skin.
And if you pull out your phone and say, great, how's Thursday at noon?
You might actually see panic in their eyes because you just tried to drill into the pit before you were invited. You crossed a boundary you didn't even know existed.
This context really changes everything. It's not malicious. It's just a different architecture. But to really get it, we have to look at the other fruit.
The coconut.
The coconut.
Right. This usually applies to places like Germany, Russia, parts of Eastern Europe, maybe France to some extent.
So visually, we're talking a hard, hairy shell. You can't make a dent in it.
Exactly. In these cultures, the public layer is hard. People generally do not smile at strangers. They don't make small talk. If you sit next to someone on a train in Moscow, the polite thing to do is ignore them completely.
Which, to a peach, feels incredibly cold. Hostile, even.
The peach thinks, why is everyone so angry? What did I do? But they don't hate you. They're just maintaining the shell. They're protecting their private space.
But the payoff with a coconut is different, if you can get through that shell.
Well, the inside of a coconut is nutritious, sweet, and liquid. And there's no pit.
No pit. So once you're in, you're all the way in.
You are family. Lewin's research suggested that in these cultures, the barrier to entry is high, but once you cross it, there are very few internal barriers left.
So if a German or Russian person considers you a friend, that's a serious commitment.
It's profound. They will help you move on a Sunday. They'll lend you money. They expect to know your deepest problem.
Whereas a peach might have 500 friends on social media, but nobody to call when their car breaks down.
That's the trade-off. Peaches have broad but thin networks. Coconuts have narrow but deep networks. Neither is wrong. They're just optimized for different things. Stability versus mobility.
I can only imagine the chaos this causes in business.
Constant chaos. I mean, there are case studies about this. A U.S. manager goes to run a team in Germany. He comes in full peach style, high energy, door always open, asking everyone about their weekend on day one.
He thinks he's building morale.
He thinks he's being a great modern leader. But the German staff looks at him and thinks, this man is superficial. He's unserious. He's intrusive. They don't trust him because he gave his trust away too easily.
To a coconut, trust that's given instantly is worthless.
Exactly. Ouch. Now, flip it. A German manager comes to New York. She keeps her door closed. She focuses purely on tasks. She doesn't ask about anyone's weekend because she thinks that's private. And the American team thinks,
she's an ice queen. She hates us. Morale is tanking.
and she's just thinking, I'm being professional. She's respecting their privacy, the shell, but they're starving for the affirmation, the fuzz.
It seems like the key is just realizing that the signals mean totally different things. A smile in the U.S. isn't a promise of friendship. It's just a signal of non-aggression.
That is a perfect way to put it, non-aggression, which brings us to the linguistic weapon of mass confusion.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say.
The phrase that destroys more international relationships than anything else.
I owe you.
The 3 most dangerous words in the English language.
It's so funny because grammatically it is a question. How are you? It demands an answer.
If you look at it literally, yes, it's an inquiry into your well-being. But in the American Peach script, it has lost its literal meaning entirely. Linguists call this phatic communication.
Phatic. Okay, spell that out. P-H-A-T-I-C.
Yes. Phatic expressions are speech where the content doesn't matter. Only the function matters.
And the function is?
Social bonding. It's the verbal equivalent of a dog wagging its tail.
So when I say, how are you, I'm just wagging my tail at you.
You're effectively wagging your tail. You are broadcasting a signal. I see you. I am harmless. We are part of the same tribe. You are not asking for data.
But the coconut doesn't know this. I've seen this happen. An American asks a visiting French client, hey, how are you? And the client stops, takes a deep breath, and says, well, the jet lag is terrible, and I am worried about my mother.
And the American soul just leaves their body.
Complete panic.
Total panic. Because in the Peach script, dumping heavy personal information in the first 10 seconds is a major violation. You're forcing the pit onto someone who only offered the skin. It's seen as oversharing.
So the coconut thinks, you asked me, I gave you an honest answer, and now you look uncomfortable. You're fake.
And the Peach thinks, I gave you a polite greeting, and you just trauma dumped on me. You're weird.
Okay, so we have to teach the script. If you're a coconut landing at JFK and the cashier at the store asks, how are you? What is the only correct answer?
Good, thanks. And you? Or, Doing well. How about yourself?
That's it.
That is the entire script. You must immediately pivot back. It's a game of tennis. You cannot hold the ball. You have to hit it right back.
Even if your dog just died that morning.
Unless you are talking to someone deep inside your pit, your spouse, your best friend, yes. Even if your dog died. If you say, not great, actually, you grind the whole social machine to a halt. You create friction.
Which goes against the peach values of speed and smoothness.
To a straightforward person, it feels like lying. I get that.
It does.
But if you judge it by the peach standard of harmony, it's a virtue. You're protecting the other person from your burden. You're being nice.
That's a crucial reframe. You aren't lying, you're sparring. You're just participating in the ritual.
Exactly. Now, there is a dark side to the peach dynamic, too. We shouldn't overlook that.
Oh, what's the dark side?
Isolation. The research suggests that while peaches are great at meeting people, they often suffer from a specific kind of loneliness. They have 1,000 acquaintances, but very few people who really truly know them.
Because the pit is so heavily guarded.
Yes. And because they're so good at the soft shell performance, nobody realizes they need help. They can be drowning while smiling and saying, "Doing great, thanks."
That's actually really tragic. The fuzz keeps people out just as effectively as the hard shell does. Maybe even more so, because it creates the illusion of openness.
Precisely. A hard shell says, "Stay away." A soft shell says, "Come close," but not too close. It's a much more confusing boundary to navigate.
Okay, so let's talk application. For our listeners, let's say I'm a peach, a classic friendly American moving to Germany. What do I do?
You need to toughen up your exterior. Seriously, stop smiling at everyone on the subway. People will think you're strange.
Retract the fuzz.
Retract the fuzz. And in business, lead with competence, not charisma. Show the data. And realize that if a German colleague criticizes your work bluntly, they aren't attacking you, they're treating you with respect. Directness is a form of honor.
Okay, now the harder one. The coconut moving to the U.S. This seems tougher because the U.S. demands you participate.
It is harder. You have to learn to perform the fuzz. You don't have to become best friends with the barista, but you have to engage in the small talk protocol.
The elevator chat, the how's it going nod.
Yes. View it as a professional skill. It's social lubrication. If you refuse, you'll be labeled as difficult or not a team player. You have to signal openness even if you keep your internal door locked.
And manage your own expectations.
Crucially, do not mistake friendliness for intimacy. Enjoy the pleasant moment for what it is. Don't project a lifetime of loyalty onto a 30-second chat.
You know, it's interesting. With the world getting so much more connected, are these styles starting to merge?
That's a fascinating area of study right now. Some sociologists argue that the internet is basically forcing everyone to become a digital peach.
A digital peach? How so?
Well, think about social media. It is the ultimate peach environment. You have a public profile, the soft shell, where you are curated, happy, and accessible. You perform likes and comments, which is basically phatic communication.
Right.
But your real self, your pit, that's buried deeper than ever.
Wow. So we're all performing openness while guarding our privacy more fiercely than ever before.
We're trading depth for reach. We're becoming a planet of peaches.
Which makes understanding this dynamic even more important. If you can't navigate the fuzz, you can't navigate the modern world.
And if you can't protect your pet, you'll burn out.
So we've covered the fruit, the silence, and the lies we tell when we say, "I'm fine."
We have.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. We've been talking about national cultures, but this really applies to individuals too.
Absolutely. We all have a default style.
So as you go about your week, ask yourself, what are you? Are you a coconut, testing people with a hard exterior before you let them in? Or are you a peach, using warmth as a shield to keep people at a comfortable distance?
And maybe ask yourself, which strategy is actually serving you? Is your shell keeping good people out? Or is your fuzz letting the wrong people drain your energy?
There's no right answer, but it is definitely worth checking your own fruit bowl.
Indeed.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you are a regular listener, you know the drill.
We find a complex topic and we try to make sense of it.
Exactly. Usually, we are taking a sledgehammer to a complex news story, or we are dissecting some dense scientific study to figure out if coffee is actually good for us this week.
I think the jury's still out on that one.
It's always out. But today we are doing something completely different. We are pivoting. We are trying to grab hold of something that is notoriously slippery.
We're trying to decode a vibe.
We're trying to decode a vibe. A vibe that sounds dangerously unscientific.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds like we should be burning sage or something.
But stick with me here. We have a fascinating stack of source materials today that falls loosely under the header of American Culture 102.
Right.
It is based on a really comprehensive breakdown by two cultural guides, Emma and John, and it addresses a very specific, very painful friction point.
It really does. It's designed for a specific type of person, the learner, they call them, who looks perfect on paper.
Oh, I know this person.
We all do. They have the C2 certification. They know their irregular verbs. They have the vocabulary of a university professor. They can write a flawless email. But when they walk into a conference room in New York or jump on a Zoom call with a team in San Francisco, they feel like they are watching a movie without the subtitles.
That is the perfect analogy. They know the words, but they are missing the music. It's the difference between linguistic fluency and, well, cultural fluency.
That's the core of it.
Because, as our sources point out, you can know exactly what the dictionary definition of awesome is. You can trace its etymology back to the 17th century.
You could be a world expert on the word.
But if you don't understand why your American colleague just used the word awesome to describe a lukewarm bagel, you're going to be completely lost.
You're going to be so confused. It is an issue of calibration. I think that is the best way to describe it.
Calibration. I like that. Explain that a bit more.
Well, the source material argues that American interaction runs on a very specific, very high voltage frequency. It is a distinct energy signature.
Okay, an energy signature.
And if you aren't tuned to that frequency, one of two things happens. Either you, the outsider, come across as cold, distant, maybe even rude.
Because you're not matching their energy level.
You're not matching it. Or you, the learner, end up feeling completely overwhelmed. You leave the interaction feeling exhausted because you're trying to process all this data that doesn't make sense to you. It's like your brain is overheating.
And I think it is important to state our mission here right at the top. We aren't just here to poke fun at stereotypes.
Yeah.
We all know the caricature of the loud, smiling, high-fiving American tourist. The golden retriever of nations, as I've heard it called.
I have heard that one.
Yeah.
We aren't here to do stand-up comedy about loud Americans. Our goal is to understand the why.
Yes, the why. That is the mission of this deep dive. Why is the default setting high optimism? Why is busyness treated with the reverence of, I don't know, a religion?
It really is a religion.
And practically speaking, for you, for our listeners who might be working with U.S. teams or trying to break into that market, how do you navigate that minefield without losing your mind?
Or losing your soul.
Yeah.
Because there is a real pressure to conform that feels, it feels inauthentic to a lot of people.
It really does. If you're coming from a culture that values modesty or stoicism or just quiet competence, acting like an American game show host feels like lying.
It feels ridiculous. So, with that in mind, we have a roadmap for the next hour to get through this. We are going to unpack 3 massive pillars of the American mindset that our sources have identified.
Okay, lay them on me. What are they?
Pillar 1, linguistic inflation. We are going to look at the obsession with hyperbole and why words in America simply do not mean what you think they mean.
Okay, that's a big one. Pillar 2.
Pillar 2, relentless optimism. This gets into the psychology of sugarcoating and why problems effectively do not exist in the American corporate lexicon.
Only opportunities, right? Or challenges.
Yeah, only opportunities for growth. And finally, we are going into the belly of the beast. Hustle culture.
Ah, the grind.
The glorification of the grind, the phenomenon of the side hustle, and why physical exhaustion has become a status symbol.
It is a heavy stack. I mean, we've got psychology, sociology, and linguistics all wrapped up in this.
We do. It's a real cross-disciplinary issue.
So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into that first pillar, the vocabulary of extremes.
This is usually the first point of friction for advanced learners. You land at JFK or you log into that first team meeting and you are immediately hit with a wall of adjectives that feel excessive.
The baseline is just set so high from the very beginning.
Incredibly high. Our source material highlights a specific cluster of words that are essentially the bread and butter of American small talk.
Oh, I can guess them.
Go on.
Awesome.
Yuck.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Amazing. Phenomenal.
You got them all. That's the core group. Now let's stop and look at phenomenal for a second. I love this example because it really highlights the absurdity if you take it literally.
Right.
If you look at the etymology, a phenomenon is something rare. It is an observable event that defies easy explanation.
A solar eclipse is phenomenal.
Exactly. Finding a pearl in an oyster is phenomenal. A child prodigy playing Mozart is phenomenal.
It implies a sense of wonder, awe even.
It should, but in this context, you get an email. Hey, thanks for sending that PDF. Phenomenal job.
Phenomenal PDF.
And that is where the disconnect happens. I mean, it's just a PDF. It's not the Sistine Chapel.
If you are coming from a culture that values precision, say Germany or the Netherlands or even parts of East Asia, that usage isn't just confusing, it borders on untrustworthy.
That's a great point. Untrustworthy.
It feels fake. You think, why is this person lying to me about the quality of the PDF? What are they trying to get from me?
Because if the PDF is phenomenal, what word do you have left for the actual solar eclipse? You've maxed out the scale. There's nowhere left to go.
You have run out of runway. And that brings us to the core concept here, the one you mentioned earlier, linguistic inflation. I want to deep dive on that term because it's such a useful mental model. Linguistic inflation. Break that down for us.
So think about it like economics. It's basic supply and demand. If a government prints too much money, the value of the dollar drops.
Right, hyperinflation.
Exactly. You end up needing a wheelbarrow of cash just to buy a loaf of bread. The currency is devalued.
It's worthless.
The exact same thing happens with language. In the American context, they've printed so much positivity, so many awesomes, amazings, and incredibles that the value of those words has plummeted.
So awesome doesn't mean inspiring awe anymore. It's not about reverence or wonder.
Not at all. In 2024, American English, awesome functions as a punctuation mark. It just means, I heard you and I am acknowledging you positively.
It's a receipt, a conversational receipt.
Exactly. This is a perfect way to put it. I'll be there at 5. Awesome. It just means roger that. Or, okay, got it.
It doesn't mean the time of 5:00 p.m. inspires religious awe in the speaker.
No. But this creates a massive translation error for the learner, a really dangerous one. The source material draws a really sharp comparison here with the UK. And I think this British example perfectly illustrates the friction.
Oh, the not bad paradox. This is classic. I love this.
The not bad paradox. Walk us through it.
Okay, so in the UK, and this applies to parts of Scandinavia and arguably Japan as well, though the mechanics are different, there is a culture of understatement. The cultural goal is to not make a fuss, to remain level. So imagine a scenario. You go to a restaurant, you have a meal, it is delicious, maybe the steak is perfectly cooked, the wine is excellent, the waiter comes over and asks, how was it? The British patron says.
It wasn't bad.
Precisely. It wasn't bad. Or maybe quite nice, actually.
And the key here, the crucial key, is that everyone in that culture understands the code. The waiter knows that not bad means, I am satisfied, the food was good, thank you very much. It's a solid endorsement.
It's high praise. Now, let's teleport that British tourist to a diner in New Jersey.
Oh no, this is going to be a disaster.
It's a diplomatic incident waiting to happen. The chef comes out, wipes his hands on his apron. Hey, how was the steak? And the tourist says, it wasn't bad.
If you tell an American chef it wasn't bad, you have essentially slapped him in the face with a wet towel.
It's an insult.
It's a huge insult. Because in the American market of linguistic inflation, not bad is at the very bottom of the barrel. It implies mediocrity. It implies you barely choked it down. They hear, I hated it, but I'm too polite to say so.
Because the expectation is not accuracy. It's not a literal report. The expectation is amplification.
That is a key word from the source. Amplify. In the U.S., you are socially required to amplify the positive signal. You can't just say the soup is soup.
No.
It has to be the best soup I've had all year.
This soup is life-changing.
Right, exactly. And if you don't amplify, you just play it straight and use neutral language.
How was the soup? It was fine.
You are signaling dissatisfaction. Silence or neutrality is read as negativity. It's a failure to perform the expected social ritual.
That is exhausting to think about. I mean, you have to constantly perform this high-energy appreciation just to be considered polite.
It is a performance. It is emotional labor.
Yeah.
But here is the danger for the listener, especially in a professional setting. The source gives a scenario that I think every international worker has faced, and it is a trap.
The performance review trap.
Exactly. You finish a presentation, you've worked on it for weeks, you've crunched the numbers, you've checked all the data. Your American boss comes up to you afterwards and says, that was super exciting, great job.
Okay, stop. I'm the learner. I hear super exciting. I hear great. My heart is pounding. I'm thinking promotion.
You're picking out your new office.
I'm thinking I'm a visionary. I just rocked their world. I am expecting a raise. I am going home and telling my partner we can finally buy that new car.
And that is the mistake. Because you are translating the words literally. according to the dictionary. You aren't translating them culturally.
Right.
In the American corporate dialect, super exciting often just translates to adequate.
Ouch. That hurts. Just adequate.
It means you did the job we pay you for, and I am pleasantly acknowledging it. It does not mean you are a genius. It means you met expectations.
So if super exciting equals adequate and phenomenal equals very good, what do they say if it's actually bad? What's the signal for this was a disaster?
That's the tricky part. Most of the time, they say nothing.
Nothing, just silence.
Silence is the loudest scream in American business. If no one says anything after your presentation, if they just kind of nod and say, okay, thanks, and move on, it's a very bad sign.
So the absence of hyperbole is the criticism.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Or if they have to say something, if they're put on the spot, they use the dreaded I word. It was interesting.
Oh, interesting is the kiss of death.
It's the assassin of the corporate world. If an American says, your idea is interesting, and then immediately changes the subject,
It's dead.
it means they hate it. It means it's dead on arrival. It is the most polite and most brutal form of rejection.
This is actually terrifying. I mean, it's like navigating a minefield wrapped in cotton candy. You're hearing all these sweet words, but the reality might be totally different. How is a learner supposed to know where they stand?
It's incredibly difficult. It requires a high level of emotional intelligence to parse. You have to stop listening to the definitions of the words and start listening to the enthusiasm behind them.
What do you mean?
Is the awesome flat? Or is it genuine? Is the great job followed by specific, detailed praise? Or is it just a generic platitude before they move on? You have to look for the follow-up.
So it's almost tonal, like Mandarin or something. The pitch and the context matter more than the word itself.
In a way, yes. The pitch matters. The energy matters more than the vocabulary. You have to read the room, not just the transcript.
So this leads us to the big why. Why do they do this? Why create a system where words lose their meaning? Is it just that Americans are fake? Because that's the cynical take, isn't it?
It is.
You hear that a lot from Europeans. Are so insincere.
That is the standard critique. Americans are superficial. Americans are fake nice. They ask how you are, but they don't care. And look, there is some truth to the superficiality of the have a nice day culture. It is transactional.
Sure, the barista doesn't actually care if I have a nice day.
Right. But our source material argues it goes much deeper than just being fake. It stems from a core national value, something that is baked into the DNA of the country since its founding.
And that is
Relentless optimism.
optimism.
It is a fundamental cultural belief, maybe stemming from the immigrant mindset, the frontier history, the American dream, that things can and will get better. There is a deep-seated, almost biological aversion to negativity in American culture.
So it's not just that they want to be nice. It's that they are culturally programmed to focus on the upside, to believe in progress.
Exactly. They believe that enthusiasm is a force multiplier. If we say it's awesome, maybe it becomes awesome. It's a form of manifestation, almost.
Speak it into existence.
Right. Which brings us to the next pillar of this whole mindset, the art of sugarcoating.
I love this idiom, to sugarcoat. It's so descriptive.
It's vivid, right?
Yeah.
You take a bitter pill, bad news, a criticism, a failure, and you coat it in sugar so it can be swallowed without gagging. It's about making the unpleasant palatable.
Give us a concrete example of this in the wild. How does this show up in a meeting?
Well, look at the vocabulary of problems. If you are working in a German or Dutch company and something is broken, a machine has failed, a project is behind schedule, what do you say?
You say, this is a problem. It is broken.
Clear, direct, efficient, no ambiguity. Let's fix the problem.
But in a strictly American business context, if you walk into a meeting and say, we have a huge problem, what happens?
You just become the villain. You are the bad vibes guy. You're a downer.
You brought the room down. You're being negative. People look at you like you're not a team player.
You pop the balloon, the energy just drains from the room. So the American manager doesn't have problems.
No, of course not.
They have challenges. Or, if they're really drinking the corporate Kool-Aid, they have opportunities for growth.
Opportunities for growth. I mean, come on. It sounds like satire. Hey, our sales are down 40% and the factory's on fire.
No, that's just a heating opportunity and a chance to explore new customer acquisition strategies.
It sounds ridiculous when you say it like that, and it is easy to mock. But that semantic shift is crucial for their psychology.
It is. It reframes the narrative.
Yeah.
Problem is static. It means we are stuck. It's a dead end. It sounds final. Challenge, on the other hand, implies a hurdle that can be jumped. It implies agency. We can overcome it.
It's about keeping the momentum going, never admitting defeat.
Precisely. The source gives a fantastic example regarding the concept of failure, which is, of course, the ultimate problem.
Oh, the P word.
The pivot.
I feel like pivot became the word of the decade, especially in the tech world. Every failed startup didn't fail, it pivoted.
It really did. And it's a perfect example of sugarcoating. In many cultures, if a project fails, if the product doesn't sell, if the customers hate it, you say, we failed.
It is a statement of fact. It offers closure, we learn, we move on.
But not here. Here you say, we are pivoting.
We are pivoting in a new direction.
Think about what that physical action represents. To pivot means you keep one foot planted and spin the other. You don't stop moving. You just change angle.
You're still in motion.
You are still in the game. You are still grinding. You are still a contender. Failure means you stopped. Pivoting means you just learned something and you're adapting. It's an optimistic word for failure.
But this brings us back to the skill check for our listener. This is critical. If you are sitting in that meeting and the boss says we need to pivot or we're facing some headwinds, you need to be able to decode that.
You do. You need to read between the lines of the positivity to find the reality. We need to pivot. Might actually mean we're out of money, we fired the dev team, and this is our last desperate attempt before bankruptcy.
But they'll never say that directly.
Rarely, not in a group setting, because saying it directly admits defeat. And American culture hates admitting defeat. It views defeat as a choice, not an outcome.
Okay, but is there a dark side to this, I have to ask? Because to me, it sounds delusional. It sounds like avoiding reality.
It can be, absolutely. The source material raises this concept of toxic positivity.
Define that for us. What's the line between healthy optimism and toxic positivity?
Toxic positivity is when optimism overrides empathy and reality. It's when you're so focused on saying everything is awesome that you refuse to acknowledge pain, difficulty, or systemic failure.
It's the good vibes only sticker on a burning car.
That's a perfect image for it. In a personal context, it's when you tell a grieving friend to just look on the bright side. It's invalidating.
Right. And in a workplace.
In a workplace, this is dangerous. If you can't talk about problems without being accused of being negative, then you can't fix the problems. You just ignore them until they explode. The company culture becomes one of denial.
But the source suggests that most of the time this isn't toxic, it's functional.
Yes, for the most part, they call it a social lubricant.
Meaning it keeps the gears of society turning without too much friction.
Think about how high stress the American economy is. No guaranteed health care, at-will employment, meaning you could be fired at any moment, high cost of living, massive student debt. It is a high-friction environment.
It's a pressure cooker.
It is. If everyone went around being brutally honest about every misery, every anxiety, the machine would grind to a halt. The awesome and the great job and the you got this act as the oil.
It reduces the friction of existence. It makes these high-pressure interactions possible.
That is a poetic way to put it. It's a necessary illusion to keep people working together without killing each other.
Okay, speaking of the high-stress economy and the machine, this transitions perfectly into our third pillar. This feels like the logical conclusion of the first two.
It is.
We've talked about how Americans speak, the hyperbole, the sugarcoating. Now let's talk about what they do, or rather, how they view themselves, their identity.
The identity.
It's a religion.
The grind.
Now we are getting into the theology of America. Because, make no mistake, work is a religion here.
And the source starts this section with something it calls the introduction ritual. I think everyone has experienced this. You're at a barbecue. You have a red Solo cup in your hand. You meet a stranger. What is the very first question out of their mouth?
So what do you do?
Every single time. Before they ask your name sometime.
Without fail. And the source points out this is not universal. This is a very American thing. In France or Spain or Argentina, asking what do you do in the first 5 minutes might be considered rude.
Really rude. It can be seen as gauche. Like you're trying to size them up, to place them in a social hierarchy based on their income.
Or just boring, like why are we talking about Excel spreadsheets? We're at a party. Ask me about my dog. Ask me about the wine. Ask me what I'm reading.
Right. In other cultures, the job is a means to an end. It funds the life. It's what you do to be able to do the things you love. But in the U.S.,
it's different.
The job is not just what you do from 9 to 5. It is who you are.
Identity and employment are fused. Inseparably.
Totally fused. Your job title is your identity card. It tells people everything they think they need to know about you. Your education, your income, your social standing, your ambition.
Which explains why unemployment is so psychologically devastating in the U.S. compared to some other places with stronger social safety nets.
Absolutely. It's not just the loss of income. It's an identity crisis.
Right.
You cease to matter. You don't know how to answer the question, what do you do anymore?
So you have nothing to say at the barbecue.
You feel invisible. Which explains why people are so obsessed with the grind. Let's unpack that term. The grind. It's such a visceral, violent word when you think about it.
It really is. Think about a millstone. Grinding wheat into flour. It's friction. It's wearing something down through repetitive pressure. It implies repetitive, hard, even painful work.
I'm back to the grind. It sounds like you're being pulverized, like it's a punishment.
Yeah.
But in this cultural context, it's not a complaint.
No, it's a brag.
It's a badge of honor. You see it on T-shirts. You see it in Instagram bios. Rise and grind. Respect the hustle. Sleep is for the weak.
Respect the hustle. That's a big one. It reframes that painful, repetitive work into something noble. It suggests that suffering for your ambition is a virtue.
It is the modern version of the Protestant work ethic, which is so foundational to American culture. The idea that idle hands are the devil's workshop.
So if you aren't working, you aren't just unproductive.
You are morally suspect. You are lazy. You lack drive.
And this isn't just about your main job anymore, is it? The source brings up the side hustle. This feels like a more recent evolution of the grind.
The side hustle economy. This is fascinating and a very 21st century phenomenon.
Define it for us. What qualifies as a side hustle?
A side hustle is a secondary job or business you run outside your main 9-to-5. Driving Uber, selling crafts on Etsy, day trading crypto, consulting on the weekends, managing social media for a local business.
It feels like everyone under 40 has one, or feels like they should have one.
And the analysis here in our source is key. Why do people do it? Yes, obviously money is a huge factor. The rent is too high. Inflation is real. Wages are stagnant. That's the economic reality.
Sure, people need to make ends meet.
But the source argues it's not just for money. It has become a status symbol.
A status symbol. So having 3 jobs makes you cooler than having one. That sounds insane.
In the American mindset, yes. In a strange way, it does. Because it shows drive. It shows ambition. It shows you aren't satisfied with the status quo.
You're not complacent.
Exactly. It shows you are maximizing your potential.
Maximizing potential. That is such an American phrase. The idea that you are a resource to be optimized, like a factory.
It is. If you are just working your 9-to-5 and then going home to watch Netflix or read a book, you might be seen as stagnant, lazy even, unambitious.
But if you are working 9 to 5 and then coding your app until 2 a.m.
Now you're a hustler. You are a grinder. You're an entrepreneur in waiting, and that commands respect.
Even if you're miserable, even if you're burning out.
Especially if you're miserable. The misery proves you are working hard. The exhaustion is the proof of work. The dark circles under your eyes are a trophy.
It's a cult of busyness, pure and simple.
Exactly. Which leads directly to the how are you trap. This is maybe the most practical takeaway for our listeners.
Right. We talked about how they asked the first question, what do you do? Now let's talk about how they answered the second question. When you ask an American, how are you, especially in a professional setting, what is the most common answer?
Busy.
Or swamped, slammed, crazy, buried.
Notice the violence in the language again. I'm slammed, like I've been hit by a truck. I'm buried, like I'm dead. It's language of suffering.
But listen to the tone when people say it. They don't usually say it with despair. They say it with a weird little smile, a hint of pride.
Oh man, things are crazy, just slammed right now. They almost puff out their chest a little bit.
It's a humble brag. That's what it is.
It is. Because what is the logic behind it? What does it signal? If you are slammed, it means you are in demand.
You're important.
You're important. It means the system cannot function without you. Your time is valuable because it is scarce.
And the flip side, if you aren't busy, if someone asks, how are you? And you answer honestly.
I'm not doing much. Pretty free. Things are quiet.
Then you're dispensable. You're not needed.
You are not valuable. You're not a player. In the hustle culture, silence and stillness are suspicious. Constant visible activity is the metric of success. If you have time to relax, you must not be very important.
This connects to the archetype the source mentions, the ideal worker in this culture, the go-getter.
Ah, the go-getter, the ultimate American worker.
What makes a go-getter? What are the traits?
A go-getter is energetic, determined, and proactive. But the key trait, the one that separates them from everyone else, is initiative.
They don't wait for instructions.
They do not wait to be told what to do.
This is a really important cultural distinction.
It is. In many hierarchical cultures, parts of Asia or Latin America, for example, it is respectful to wait for the boss to assign the task. To jump ahead might be seen as overstepping your bounds, as disrespectful.
But
Here, waiting makes you look passive, unengaged. A go-getter sees a challenge, and they attack it. They hustle to fix it without being asked. They take ownership.
So being called a go-getter is one of the highest compliments you can receive in this framework.
It's the gold star. It means you understand the game.
So if we step back and look at this whole picture, we have a culture that speaks in hyperbole, everything is awesome, reframes negatives into positives, it's an opportunity, and values constant visible effort, the grind.
That is the American mindset in a nutshell. High energy, high output, high optimism.
It's a lot to take in if you didn't grow up in it. It feels like you have to be a superhero just to buy a coffee.
It is overwhelming. And for our listeners, the learners, as the source calls them, it can feel paralyzing. The question becomes, do I have to become this person? Do I have to fake this relentless positivity and energy?
Do I have to sell my soul to blend in?
Right. So let's pivot. See, I use the word "to," the practical application. How do they blend in without feeling like a complete and total imposter?
This is the part everyone's been waiting for, the "what do I do about it" section.
The source offers a very specific strategy. And I love this because it is actionable and realistic.
Yeah.
It's not asking you to change your entire personality.
Okay, so the blending in strategy, what is it?
They call it the 10% rule.
The 10% rule. Okay, break that down for me.
The advice is this. You do not have to change your personality completely. If you are naturally introverted, understated, or cynical, you don't have to become a cheerleader overnight.
That would feel fake.
And people can smell fake a mile away. It would backfire.
So what do?
You should aim to bring just 10% more energy and optimism to your English interactions.
Just 10%. That sounds manageable.
Just a little boost.
Yeah.
Think of it like a thermostat. You don't have to crank the heat to 100 degrees and start a fire. Just turn it up a few degrees from where you normally have it.
Give me a concrete example of the 10% rule in action.
Okay, if your natural reaction to a colleague's idea is to say, that is a good idea, try saying, that is a great idea.
Small change. Good to great.
Just one step up the ladder. If you would normally nod silently during a Zoom call to show you're listening, unmute yourself once and say, that sounds interesting, or good point.
Okay, a little verbal affirmation.
Right. Raise your pitch slightly at the end of a positive sentence. Smile a bit more when you speak on video calls. Use one exclamation point in your emails instead of a period.
Just one.
It's like turning up the volume knob just one notch. From 5 to 6, not from 5 to 11. Exactly. And the source argues that this small adjustment makes a huge difference in how you are perceived. It helps you avoid sounding cold or disinterested or negative to an American ear while still feeling authentic to yourself.
That's the key part, right? It still has to feel like you.
Yes, you aren't becoming them. You're just meeting them on the bridge. You're speaking their language just a little bit.
I think that's great advice. Because if you try to go full American game show host immediately, you're going to burn out in 5 minutes.
And you will look crazy. People will think something is wrong.
Right. Okay, so let's recap the rules we've uncovered today. The American mindset playbook, if you will.
I like that. Rule number 1, use hyperbole. Don't fear the big words. Awesome, amazing, great. They are your friends. They are the currency of connection.
Don't hoard them. Spend them freely.
Exactly. Rule number 2.
Reframe the negative.
Try to catch yourself before you dwell on problems. Can you frame it as a challenge? Can you focus on the solution, not the problem? Can you find the pivot? Even if it's just in your language, it signals you're a problem solver, not a complainer.
And rule number 3, the big one.
Respect the hustle. Understand that ambition and busyness are valued traits. Don't be confused if people wear their exhaustion like a trophy. And maybe, just maybe, show a little bit of that go-getter spirit yourself. Take some initiative.
It's a fascinating ecosystem. But before we wrap up, the source material dropped a little teaser for a future topic, a little hint. And I think it's important to mention because it seems like a massive contradiction to everything we've just said.
Ah, yes. The flip side of the coin.
We've spent this whole hour talking about sugarcoating and being nice and positive and awesome, but the source hints at another core American trait, directness.
It seems contradictory, doesn't it? Americans sugarcoat everything. But also, Americans are blunt and direct. How can both be true?
Right. It makes no sense. How can you be the land of awesome and the land of you're fired at the same time?
The key is what is being discussed. The context is everything.
Okay.
They sugarcoat feelings and feedback to maintain optimism and social harmony. But when it comes to two things in particular,
What are they?
time and money,
Ah, a different ballgame.
completely different ballgame. Time is money. That is the other great American mantra, right alongside rise and grind.
So how does that play out?
While they might sugarcoat a critique of your presentation, it was interesting, they can be incredibly blunt about costs, deadlines, and the bottom line.
I need this by 5 p.m. No sugar on that.
None. Or, this is over budget, fix it. There's no ambiguity there.
Yeah.
If you waste their time in a meeting, the niceness evaporates. That is a deep dive for another day, but it's a good warning.
Don't mistake the nice for soft.
That is the perfect summary. Nice is not soft.
I like that. So as we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with a final provocative thought, something to chew on. We've talked a lot about the grind. We've talked about identity being tied to work. The first question being, what do you do?
It raises a big existential question, doesn't it?
It really does. And here it is. If your identity is entirely tied to hustling, grinding, pivoting, being slammed, what happens when the work stops?
Who are you when you aren't busy, when you retire, when you get laid off?
Exactly. If you take away the job title, is there a person underneath? Or is there just a void?
That's a scary thought.
It is. And it leads me to one last question. I wonder, is all this linguistic inflation, this constant reassuring chorus of everything is awesome, is it actually a shield?
A shield. A shield against what?
A shield to protect against the crushing pressure of the grind. If we're working ourselves to the bone, if we're constantly slammed and terrified of being seen as unproductive, maybe we need to tell each other it's awesome just to keep going.
So the hyperbole isn't for the other person, it's for ourselves.
Maybe. Maybe the relentless optimism is the only thing keeping the burnout at bay.
Wow. That is a very heavy thought. You turn the vibe check into an existential crisis.
I know, but that's what we do here. We go deep.
You're suggesting that the optimism is a necessary coping mechanism for the hustle. It's the spoonful of sugar that makes the bitter medicine of the grind go down.
Something to mull over the next time you tell someone you're living the dream, when you're really just buried in emails.
Indeed.
So, to our listener, the next time you watch an American movie or jump on a call with a colleague in New York, observe these patterns. Listen for the awesome, watch for the pivot, and see if you can spot the hustle.
And try that 10% rule. Just a little bit. See what happens.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay awesome.
Phenomenal. Goodbye, everyone.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today, we're going to get into something that I think every single one of us has encountered, whether we've traveled, done business internationally, or just, watched a Hollywood movie and thought, wait, why did they just do that?
Right.
We are talking about the American paradox. And honestly, it's one of those things that once you see it, you just can't unsee it.
It is a fascinating topic because on the surface, it seems so simple. Americans are friendly, right? That's the stereotype.
The big, friendly, smiling stereotype.
Yeah, exactly. But underneath that simplicity, there is this complex engine running that causes so much confusion for the rest of the world.
That's a great way to put it, an engine. So we're looking at a stack of research today, specifically a cultural analysis titled The Bottom Line, Efficiency and Directness in American Culture. It's actually from a series by the Learning English podcast, and they treat this as the final chapter of a trilogy on the American psyche. It starts with this fruit metaphor that I absolutely love, and I know we've touched on this before in other deep dives, the peach.
The peach versus the coconut. It's a classic sociological model. It was originally popularized by Kurt Lewin and then later adapted by cross-cultural experts like Fons Trampenaars. It's just the perfect visual aid, really.
It is, isn't it? So let's set the stage for anyone listening who might be new to this fruit basket of sociology.
A fruit basket. I like that.
The United States is famous for this peach culture. You meet an American and the exterior is soft, it's fuzzy, it's sweet.
Very approachable.
Very approachable. They're smiling, they're asking, how are you? They're inviting you to a barbecue 5 minutes after meeting you at a conference.
And it's incredibly disarming.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come from what they call a coconut culture like Germany or Russia or parts of Eastern Europe, where the exterior is hard.
Right, you have to work to get in.
You have to work for a long, long time to crack that shell to get to the friendship inside. So the American peach can feel overwhelming. You think, wow, I've made a best friend instantly.
But, and here's the twist, and this is what we're all about today. There's a pit.
There's a pit.
Yeah.
And that's the hook. We are talking about the soft, fuzzy exterior today. We are not talking about the hustle and hope, optimism where everything is awesome and everyone is doing great.
Yeah.
We are talking about the sharp edge. The source material argues that despite all the smiles and all the sugarcoating, American culture has a hidden razor-sharp edge that comes out the moment business begins.
It's like a switch just flips.
Precisely. And that's where the confusion lies for so many people. You get drawn in by the warmth, you feel safe, you feel like you're in a friendship, but then you hit this wall of efficiency that can feel cold, transactional, or even rude if you don't understand the rules.
You hit the pit.
You've hit the pit.
So our mission today is to decode those hidden rules. We are moving from the living room where the peach is soft and the hospitality is flowing.
Right, the social space.
Into the boardroom where the pit is hard. We're going to look at how time, money, and directness operate behind that friendly American smile.
It's essentially the operating system of American efficiency. And what's really critical to understand here is that this isn't just about business etiquette. It's not just a list of do's and don'ts. It's deeply, deeply tied to American values. It's almost moral.
Moral. That's a strong word for just, being on time.
It is, but I think the sources really bear that out. So let's unpack this. The first pillar the source hits us with is the concept of time. And they start with the ultimate cliche. You know it, I know it, everyone in the world knows it. Time is money.
I feel like I have that on a mug somewhere, or I've seen it on a motivational poster.
Of course. It is a cliche, but what's fascinating here is that the source argues we need to stop treating it as a metaphor. In the American professional context, it is literal. It is the fundamental currency of interaction.
Okay, so it's not just a cute saying to put on a poster. It's not just a way to urge people to hurry up. You're saying it's actual economic?
Yes. It's a one-to-one translation. Time is a resource, just like capital. And you spend it. You save it. You waste it. You invest it.
You can even steal it.
And that's the key. You can steal it. I mean, if you look at the cultural comparison that the analysis provides, it highlights this stark contrast with other regions, specifically places like Latin America, the Mediterranean, or the Middle East. Sociologists often call these polychronic cultures.
Polychronic, meaning many times. What does that break down to?
It means time is fluid, it's elastic, it's not a straight line, it's more like a pool you're swimming in. In those cultures, generally speaking, relationships supersede the clock.
Right. I read about this. So if I'm meeting with you and we're having a really deep conversation, maybe we're solving a problem, or maybe we're just, connecting on a human level and I'm supposed to be somewhere else in 10 minutes. It would be the height of rudeness for me to cut you off just because of a clock. The relationship is the priority. The person in front of me is more important than the schedule.
Exactly. Being late to the next thing is actually acceptable, maybe even expected, because you were honoring the person you were currently with. You were being a good human. You were investing in the relationship.
But in the U.S., the equation is completely flipped.
It's flipped. Time is greater than relationships, at least in a professional setting. That's the core algorithm.
This is where it gets really interesting to me. The source makes a very, very strong assertion about the morality of punctuality. It says that in the U.S., being late isn't just an inconvenience, it's viewed as disrespectful.
It goes even deeper than disrespect. I mean, if we follow the time is money logic to its natural conclusion, being late implies theft.
Theft. Wow, that's intense.
But think about it from that perspective. If time truly equates to capital, if time is a finite resource that I can trade for money or for productivity, and I keep you waiting for 20 minutes.
Okay.
I haven't just annoyed you. I haven't just messed up your schedule. I have effectively stolen 20 minutes of your potential productivity. I have wasted your asset. I've taken something from you that you can never get back.
I have never once thought about it like that. I am literally stealing your potential earnings. I'm taking money out of your pocket.
That is why the reaction to lateness in the U.S. can be so visceral. Yeah. It's not just, oh, you're late, grab a coffee. It's, you are stealing from me. It signals that you value your own time, your own capital, more than mine. It's a violation of, the property rights of the calendar.
The property rights of the calendar. That puts a whole new spin on the guy who's impatiently tapping his watch in a meeting. He's not just impatient, he's protecting his wallet.
He's defending his assets. Precisely. And this leads to a concept the source highlights, which I think is just a brilliant piece of vocabulary for anyone trying to navigate this landscape, the hard stop.
Oh, I love this term. It sounds so mechanical, so final. The hard stop. I hear it all the time now, especially on Zoom calls.
Isn't mechanical. And it's a non-negotiable boundary. It's like a wall coming down.
So for the listener who might not have heard this used in a meeting, walk us through it. What is a hard stop, and how is it different from just the meeting ending?
A hard stop is a preemptive declaration. You might be in a meeting that's going really well, the conversation is flowing, ideas are sparking, maybe you're even the boss. But someone will look at the clock and say, just so everyone knows, I have a hard stop at 2:00 p.m.
And that means?
It means no matter what is happening, no matter who is speaking, even if the building is on fire, I am disconnecting from this call or walking out of this room at exactly 2:00 p.m. There is no negotiation.
See, that's where the peach conflict just kicks in for me. Because if we are having a friendly, warm, peachy chat, maybe we spent the first 5 minutes talking about football or the weather, and suddenly you say, hard stop, bye, that feels incredibly abrupt.
It does.
It feels cold. It feels like you're saying, this conversation is no longer valuable to
It
me.
feels like a door slamming in your face. Especially if you're from a culture where you ease out of a conversation, you wind it down naturally.
Exactly. So how do we reconcile that? How does the friendly American justify that behavior without feeling like a complete jerk?
Well, the source reframes it beautifully. It's not rudeness. It's actually a form of respect.
Respect. How?
In a culture where time is the ultimate shared resource, adhering to the hard stop is a way of signaling that you respect the other person's time as much as your own. You are honoring the contract of the calendar invitation we all agreed to.
So if a meeting is set for 9.000000, ending it at 10:10 isn't cutting it short. It's fulfilling the promise, and letting it run over is actually the disrespectful act.
Correct. You're now stealing time for my next meeting. You're creating a domino effect of theft throughout my day. And so for advanced learners or professionals entering this space, the takeaway is just crucial. If the invite says 9:00, the meeting starts at 9:00, not 9:02, not 9:05.
9.000 on the dot.
And if it ends at 10:00, you wrap it up.
Correct.
To linger is to violate the code. In fact, ending 5 minutes early is often seen as a gift. You'll hear people say it. All right, I'm giving you 5 minutes back.
I'm giving you time back. I hear that phrase all the time, too. It's like they just handed me a $5 bill.
In their mind, they did. They returned a valuable asset to you that you can now reinvest somewhere else.
It's just amazing how much anxiety that clock causes, but it really is the engine that keeps the whole machine running. Okay, but let's pivot. We've talked about time being money. Let's talk about actual money.
The root of all business, as they say.
So the source brings up a really interesting point about taboos. I mean, generally, in polite society and in so many cultures around the world, you just don't talk about money.
No, it's considered gauche. It's vulgar.
Right. You don't ask someone what they make. You don't discuss costs explicitly over a nice dinner. It's private.
It's often seen as the ultimate private matter. In the UK, for example, asking someone their salary is almost worse than asking about their sex life. It's just, It's not done.
But the source says, in America, forget that. In the American professional environment, that taboo is just smashed to pieces.
It is. In the boardroom, the primary American value that's driving the conversation is transparency. It's about stripping away the mystery.
So all that coyness goes out the window?
Completely. Discussing salaries, specific costs, margins, and especially ROI, return on investment, is not only done openly, it's expected. It's required.
So if you're dancing around the numbers to be polite, you're actually hurting your credibility. You're not being sophisticated, you're being shady.
You are looking evasive. You look like you don't know your numbers. Or worse, you're hiding something. The peach exterior falls away completely here. We don't want sugar-coated finances. We want the raw data, the black and white.
This brings us to some of the vocabulary that the source highlights. And these are idioms that I use all the time without even thinking, but when you stop and analyze them, they are actually quite aggressive.
They are very aggressive. I love how you put it earlier. They are violent towards ambiguity.
Violent towards ambiguity. I like that. Let's look at the big one, the title of the source itself, the bottom line.
Right. So literally, as the source notes, this is an accounting term. It's the final line on a financial statement. It's the profit or the loss.
The ultimate truth.
It is the ultimate truth of the business. Did we make money or did we lose money? Everything else is just commentary.
But metaphorically, it's used in conversation to mean stop talking about the process and tell me the result.
Exactly. Don't give me the fluff.
Yeah.
If American manager asks for the bottom line on a project, they are explicitly saying, I don't care about the story of how you got here. I don't care how hard you worked on it or the challenges you overcame. I care about where we landed. What is the outcome?
So it's completely outcome-oriented, not process-oriented.
100%. The journey is irrelevant if the destination is wrong.
And then we have one of my favorites, cut to the chase.
Which comes from early cinema, which is fun.
Right. Silent movies.
Yes, think about those old films. You'd have the dialogue cards, you'd have the long romantic setup, the villain twisting his mustache.
Yeah.
And the audience would get restless. They knew the climax, the action was coming. So the studio executives would literally tell the editors to cut to the chase, skip the boring parts and get to the car chase or the foot pursuit.
Get to the exciting part.
Get to the part that matters, the resolution.
So when someone says that in a meeting, they're basically saying, you are boring me, get to the action.
In a professionally acceptable way, yes. They're saying, the preamble is too long, we've had enough setup. Fast forward to the part that matters for this decision.
And what about brass tacks? Let's get down to brass tacks. I've always wondered about the origin of this one.
There are a few theories on this, but the most common one relates to the fabric trade. In old dry goods stores, they would have brass tacks or studs hammered into the counter at specific intervals to measure out yards of fabric.
Ah, okay, so it was a literal measurement tool.
It was a standard of measurement. So if you were bargaining or discussing the quality of the cloth, you could talk all day, but eventually you had to get down to brass tacks. You had to unroll the fabric, measure it out, and pay for it. It was the moment of truth.
Again, it's that same visual imagery. We are stripping away the upholstery, the fabric, the padding to see the hard structure underneath. All of these idioms, the bottom line, cut to the chase, brass tacks, they all demand the exact same thing.
The cessation of small talk.
Right, which is so ironic, isn't it? Because the meeting probably started with 5 minutes of that exact small talk.
About the football game or the terrible weather.
Yes. That's the peach. That's the soft, friendly opening.
And that's the paradox. The small talk is the lubricant. It's the peach skin. It makes the interaction feel human and friendly. But once the clock ticks over to the official business part of the meeting, you must immediately switch modes.
And if you don't, if you continue the small talk when it's time for brass tack,
You are seen as inefficient. You're seen as unfocused. You're mixing the modes. You're wasting time. And as we know,
you're wasting money.
you're wasting everyone's money. And the source explains the why behind this really well. It says that while this directness feels aggressive, especially coming from someone who was just smiling at you 2 minutes ago, it is fundamentally impersonal.
It's not about you.
It is purely about efficiency. That is the key. It's not personal. When an American says, okay, let's cut to the chase, what's the cost? They aren't angry at you. They aren't trying to humiliate you. They are just optimizing the communication channel for speed and clarity.
They're trying to save time, which, as we've established, is saving money.
For everyone involved, it's a mutual act of financial preservation.
So we've got the clock, we've got the cash. Now, I want to talk about maybe the most dramatic shift in behavior the source mentions. This is the moment where the peach doesn't just disappear. It feels like it gets thrown out the window and run over by a truck.
That's a good way to put it.
It's called the ask.
The ask.
Yeah.
And it's a noun in this context, right? Not a verb. It is a specific cultural ritual in American networking, fundraising, and sales.
It sounds a bit like a heist movie term. The drop, the exchange, the ask.
It carries that same kind of weight. It's the climax of the interaction. And the source describes the interaction almost like a play with two distinct acts. Act 1 is all relationship building.
Right. This is where you leverage the peach for all it's worth, you build the rapport, you ask about their kids, you find common ground, you talk about the synergy between your companies.
You sugarcoat all the general issues, you make everyone feel comfortable and safe. We're all friends here, we're on the same team.
And then the pivot.
The pivot, that's the word for it.
It's this transition point where the tone just shifts 180 degrees.
The source describes it as a sudden, explicit, almost shockingly clear statement of exactly what is wanted. No more fluff, no more hints.
Give me the example from the source. It was so stark.
It's something like, so here is the ask. We need $50,000 by Friday.
Boom. Just like that. No warm-up.
Just like that. The friendly chat is over. The transaction is beginning.
I feel like in so many other cultures, that would be seen as shockingly blunt. it would be insulting. You're supposed to hint at it.
Of course.
You're supposed to imply that maybe if resources allow, some support would be greatly appreciated. You leave the door open for the other person to decline gracefully without losing face.
And in the U.S., that hints and implications approach is a death sentence for a deal. It's the worst thing you can do.
Why? Why is being polite in that way a death sentence?
Because of the deep, deep fear of ambiguity. The source makes this point so clearly. Ambiguity is seen as weakness. Or worse, it's confusing.
How is it confusing?
Well, if you hint, the American listener might not pick up on the hint at all. They might just think you're continuing the friendly chat. Or, and this is more likely, they might think you aren't confident in your proposal. Why are you afraid to just say it?
So, by being polite and indirect about the money, you're actually signaling incompetence or a lack of conviction.
You are signaling that you don't really know what you want, or you're afraid to ask for it. And if you're afraid to ask for it, it probably isn't worth giving. The peach disappears during the ask because the ask is a pure business transaction. And business requires absolute clarity.
I need $50,000 is clear data.
It would be nice to have some help.
Yeah.
Is just noise. It's static.
So it's a survival mechanism, really. If you beat around the bush, you get lost in the bush and you walk away with nothing.
And you lose the deal.
Yeah.
And you lose respect. Americans, in this context, respect the person who looks them in the eye and names the price. It shows conviction. It shows you've done your homework.
This really connects to the next segment the source covers, which is all about giving and receiving feedback. We've all heard of the sandwich method, right?
Oh, yeah. The compliment, criticism, compliment sandwich.
Yeah.
I love your energy. Your report was full of errors, but I really admire your work ethic.
Exactly. I love your shirt. Your report was terrible. Great shoes.
It's the classic HR technique. And let's be honest, everyone sees through it now. You're just waiting for the bad part in the middle.
Right. But the source introduces a counter concept that sits underneath all that, a more primal form of feedback. Straight talk.
Give it to me straight.
What does that actually mean in practice? Because it sounds a bit like a movie line from an old black and white film. Give it to me straight, dog. How long do I have?
It means telling the honest, unvarnished truth, completely stripped of the peach fuzz. It implies that the situation is serious enough that we don't have time for the sandwich. We don't have time to stroke your ego or worry about your feelings.
So in a business context, how does that play out?
In a business context, if a project is failing, an American leader might pull the team together and say, look, I need some straight talk here. Is this going to work, or are we wasting our time? They're giving you permission, and really a command, to drop the politeness and expose the raw, ugly problem.
And to receive that kind of feedback, you need something the source calls thick skin.
Yes, this is a vital term, a cornerstone of the whole system.
Define that for us. What does it mean to have thick skin?
Having thick skin means not being easily offended. It means you can take critical, direct, even harsh negative feedback and process it as data rather than as a personal attack.
That goes right back to the it's not personal rule we talked about.
It's the ultimate survival skill in this environment. If someone gives you straight talk and tells you your idea is too expensive and won't work, and you start crying or get defensive or shut down,
You're the soft peach, the easily bruised peach.
you're the bruised peach. And in the American boardroom, emotional fragility is seen as a liability. It slows things down. It makes that crucial value of transparency impossible. If I have to worry about hurting your feelings every time I correct a spreadsheet, I'm going to stop working with you.
It's seen as unprofessional to be too sensitive.
Deeply unprofessional. It's interesting because the source connects this back to respect again. Americans actually respect people who can handle the directness.
So taking criticism well is a sign of strength.
A huge sign of strength. If you can take a punch, metaphorically speaking, and come back with a solution instead of an excuse, you are seen as a professional. You are reliable. It means you prioritize the work and the outcome over your own ego.
Wow. So we have this trilogy now. The source pulls it all together and calls it the 3 pillars of American culture. Let's try to synthesize this because it's a lot to hold in your head at once. And on the surface, it seems almost contradictory.
It is a constant balancing act, a high wire act, really.
So pillar number 1, be a peach.
Friendly on the outside, soft, smiling, optimistic, but always remember that soft exterior is protecting a hard, private inner self. This is your social avatar.
Your user interface.
Exactly.
Okay, pillar number 2, hustle and hope.
That's the fuel. That unbridled optimism, everything is awesome, the use of hyperbole, the core belief that hard work can solve any problem. This gives you the energy to keep going.
And now, pillar number 3, the focus of our deep dive today, respect the clock.
This is the sharp edge. Time is money. Directness is key. Transparency is non-negotiable. This is the operating system that runs underneath the friendly user interface.
So what does this all mean for someone trying to navigate this? How do these 3 things exist in the same person without them seeming, completely schizophrenic?
That is the so what of this entire analysis, isn't it? The source suggests the American professional persona is a rapid switching mechanism.
A switching mechanism, like a toggle switch.
Exactly like a toggle switch.
Yeah.
You have to be able to be the peach in the first 5 minutes of the Zoom call, asking about the weekend, smiling, being high energy. That's pillar 1. And then at minute 6, you have to be able to flip a switch and go directly into pillar 3. You have to say, okay, hard stop at the top of the hour. Let's get to the bottom line.
And if you can't make that switch, what if you get stuck in one mode?
Well, if you stay a peach the whole time, you get eaten alive. You're seen as nice, but ineffective. You're the person everyone likes having coffee with, but no one trusts to lead a critical project because you're too soft to give straight talk or make a hard decision.
You can't handle the pitch.
You can't. And if you're only the sharp edge, if you skip the peach entirely and just walk in talking about the bottom line,
Then you're a jerk.
then you're just a jerk. You're abrasive, you're rude, no one wants to work with you. You're the coconut in a world of peaches, and you haven't built the rapport needed for people to want to help you.
So the secret sauce of American professional success is mastering the toggle switch.
It's mastering the transition. It's knowing exactly when to stop smiling and start counting the minutes and the dollars.
Yeah.
It's situational awareness.
That is actually really exhausting to think about. It sounds like a constant performance.
It is high energy, which is why hustle, pillar 2, is part of the trilogy. You need that relentless energy to maintain the performance day in and day out.
It really puts the whole culture into a much clearer perspective for me. We've moved from this simple, friendly exterior to this very calculated, very efficient interior.
And it explains the confusion so many global professionals feel. They see the smile and they expect flexibility. They expect the relationship to be the priority. But the smile is just the wrapper. The product inside is pure efficiency.
The wrapper versus the product. That's a fantastic way to put it.
I think it's the key paradox, really.
Mm-hmm.
Americans are warm socially, but they use a sharp edge regarding time and money to ensure that the system, the economic engine, keeps moving at top speed.
Well, this has been a massive eye-opener for me. I'm going to be watching for the ask in every conversation I have now. I'm going to be paranoid about my hard stops.
Just make sure you respect the hard stop. That's the main thing.
I will, I promise. Before we go, I want to leave the listener with a provocative thought to mull over, one that sort of builds on everything we've talked about. We've established that time is money. So here's the question. If time is money, what are we spending when we engage in that 5 minutes of small talk at the beginning of a meeting? Is the peach exterior actually just a transaction cost? Is all that friendliness just the tax we pay to get down to business?
That is a cynical, but a very, very American question to ask.
I thought it might be, so think about that. And until next time,
All right.
it's also